Here's your host, Alex Garrett.
All right, well, this week, as you know, I felt like I spent my time crossing the T's in hopes of dotting the I's on the dotted line. What do I mean by that? Well, I crossed the T's with Tavern Community, who celebrates 1 year today. Wow, what a journey that's been for Ben Schwartz. And if you've listened to my prior One Leg Up show, you'll know what I mean. And also traveled to Talkin Yanks with Aaron Boone Monday night. So yes, on Monday, I was crossing the T's in hopes that would give me confidence to dot the I's and maybe sign a contract. See, right now I've crossed the T's, and I look at this from a philosophical perspective. Sorry if that's boring to you. But philosophically, crossing the T's means I've done the first step to making sure that this podcast has more legs than I do. I am crossing the T's, whether it be with Tavern Community or Talkin Yanks. And maybe out of all that, it'll give me the confidence to go up to someone and say, hey, invest in my show. Invest in this podcast. Help me put this podcast on radio. Help me sign the dotted line. And not through the communities, but you never know. Things like that could happen. So I looked at what I did Monday as outreach, as getting out there and spreading the message and the name of the One Leg Up brand, because I believe in that brand. I am crossing the T's, not the two T's in Garrett, although that is kind of funny, crossing the T's in the name of networking. And I think to do that in one day and put in my full-time work effort as well, it showed me the possibilities are there. To not only live in the four walls of a full-time job that I get to be on the air with and that I get to produce for and hone my editing skills, but then to break those walls, through those walls, and expand, branch out, go beyond. And crossing the T's with Tavern and Talkin Yanks, now that's funny, Tavern Yanks, Tavern and Talkin Yanks gave me the confidence to continue looking and searching for great guests, great ideas, great events to go to, in hopes that maybe one day those I's will be dotted and this podcast will be sponsored and this podcast will be on the air. It just takes the right messaging, the right marketing. I hope to have Ryan on. He is a New York City local marketer. I encourage you to follow him as well at B_De La Cruz. He does a lot of marketing. And he told me, tell your story more. But to me, this podcast is about finding out how others have one leg up. I guess I show up by rollerblading every day, and I visually show you how to have one leg up in the city. But then there are others who are actually putting in the work, putting in the action, and rising the ranks and getting that leg up in their industry that I want you to hear from. But for me to cross the T's with Tavern Community and Talkin Yanks the same day, different fields, but same kind of mindset of networking, of getting the brand out there, of meeting Aaron Boone, meeting the manager of the Yankees. I mean, that was so cool. And to have it actually happen was really special. But in addition, I will say it's given me the confidence to go out there and find someone who will help me dot the I's now. We've crossed the T's this week. Now how do we get this podcast to get on the dotted line and sign something remarkable that'll change this podcast, that'll boost this podcast in a reasonable way? That is what this week helped me get confidence with. And actually networking is sort of like an extra step in the process. But if you have the confidence to go out there and rollerblade, or however you get to work, or however you get to where you're going to these networking events, if you have that confidence to step out the door and say, I'm going to meet new people today, that's your first step in crossing your T's. The old saying I'm going at is, we all want to cross our T's and dot the I's and make sure everything's buttoned up. But to do that, you've got to take those steps. And it just happens that Tavern Community and Talkin Yanks both have T's. So I crossed those T's and am pushing toward dotting those I's and putting this podcast further out on the map. That is a goal for 2024. And I post this today at 3 p.m. because of the power of 3, the energy of 3. Buddy Harrelson took a land in Suffolk County and made it a venue where 9 million people get to watch baseball and root on the Ducks. And he only wore the number 3. So that energy of number 3 is carrying me this year. And maybe that idea of, all right, we've crossed the T's, literally, with Tavern Community and Talkin Yanks. Now we've got to take that confidence and say, hey, sign me up. You want me to cover events? Help me. I can help you. Sign me up. I'd like to dot the I's. I'd like to dot the I's on the dotted line, if you will. Though there's no I in my name, you get the point. We've crossed the T's. Now, we take that confidence as a podcast. I take that confidence as a podcaster and work to dot the I's and sign the dotted line to something bigger and better on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network. We'll talk to you soon.